Feeling
hot,
hot, hot.
Hey, we're live.
We're live.
On YouTube. So I turned the sound down. There we go. And then we'll get this going. The Prove It Live podcast is brought to you by the Farm Baseball Performance Institute in Waltham, Massachusetts. They can be reached via the web at thefarmbpi.com. Also brought to you by Perfect Motion Sports Therapy in Acton, Massachusetts, and they can be found at perfectmotionsportstherapy.com.
First time trying this
podcast is brought to you by the Farm Baseball Performance Institute. Try that again.
First time trying this, folks. Yeah. Bear with us.
There we go.
This is something I should be doing.
It's Dr. Kevin McGovern, and today is Thursday, December 23rd, and it's time for another edition of the Prove It Live podcast, episode number 51. We have a very good show for you today. We have a recap of the, why we started the podcast, a year in review, a huge why would you do that? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my very handsome co-host, Mr. Mike Frary. Mike, take it away.
We got applause there.
Love it. Thank you, Kevin. Wonderful introduction. We still got some background noise. Calm down, folks.
You have to tell people to calm down.
Be here all day. So thank you. I am Mike Frary from the Farm Baseball Performance Institute, here with Kevin McGovern, Dr. Kevin McGovern, Perfect Motion Sports Therapy, and our fabulous producer, Ryan Gagne-Fructis, who's got a very festive background for us today with both Christmas tree and fireplace. Simulated fireplace.
The Yule log.
Fantastic. It is like the Yule log.
Does that offend anybody?
Yule log?
Mm-mm. Yeah. Okay.
Should it?
I don't think so.
Oh, people want to make sure we're non-offensive.
So we got to.
Number 51. Anybody want to guess the top, 4 or 5 number 51s in professional sports?
Oh, okay.
Kevin McGovern.
Randy Johnson.
Xavier High School, 51.
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson was number 2 on this list. But yeah.
2?
Yeah, number 1, Dick Butkus.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was 50.
Was Ichiro Suzuki.
No.
Bernie Williams was number 51.
Yeah, Bernie Williams was, yeah.
And rounding out the top 5 at the number 4 spot was Trevor Hoffman.
Interesting.
Trevor Hoffman.
It's a pretty good list.
I'm still pissed that John Riggins didn't make the top 44s.
Ken Norton Jr. is at number 8. I mean, he should be a little higher up, I think.
Yeah, he should be. Who's ahead of him? Who's 7 and 6?
7 is Sam Mills, who played in the NFL
Basketball.
from 86 to 97. Nope. He's a football player for the Saints.
Oh, he was. Yes.
And number 6 for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jim Ringo from 1953 to 1967.
Oh, yeah. Good old Jim. Yeah.
Yeah. Kenny Norton? I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know about that.
Jim.
All right.
But
so we've got a bit of a brief top of the order this week for several reasons. But it is the holiday season. I'm actually excited. This is our last show of the year, right? This is the first time we've ever done like a final show of the year. So we get to do a little bit of a review, and I'm excited about that. And we get to talk a little bit about some stuff that we have going on. We've been talking for a while that we're going to be putting some stuff out. We're actually finally there, like right on the cusp of releasing some things. So we're going to talk about that. Excited about it. And then we have a little bit of an extended why would you do that? A little fun one to wrap up 2021. So without further ado, Gagne-Fructis, what do we have at the top of the order?
Well, COVID is back to dominating the headlines in the sports world right now. As many folks know, wow. Wow. I mean, I'm not even mad about that. I'm not mad at all. I
was good. It said sad trombone. Are we sad about that or no?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Where? All right. Are we this? Or are we?
No.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, definitely the wah.
That was great. I mean, I'm going to applaud you.
Yeah.
That was good.
We could be. Since there's no hockey.
True. There's no hockey. Thank you for that great segue.
More baseball.
No baseball, but there's not baseball right now anyways. But the NHL did take a little pause due to COVID, rising number in infections, I guess you would say. They've also
Positive.
announced that, positive cases is what I'm looking for. They've also announced that the NHL will not be sending its players to the Beijing Olympics, in response to some of those COVID-19 protocols, which I can't say I think I'm indifferent, if anything, on that. I'm fine with them not going over there.
Anyone going to watch the Olympics?
No. I mean, I don't know.
If there's no fan, I can't watch events with no fans. I can't
Curling.
do it.
I will watch curling. I'll tell you that right now. And are there ever fans there?
Curling had to be a bar game at some point, right?
There's
It
fans.
had to be.
Oh yeah, sure. And like
Right?
Juno.
Yeah, and like what's that? Cornhole. I mean, that's going to be an Olympic event. You wait and see.
What is an Olympic event now? It's ridiculous.
I know. So no NHL players in the Olympics. The league is currently on pause until after the Christmas holiday coming up. The NBA, while they're not on pause, they have more than 90 players that are currently in the COVID-19 health and safety protocol. A lot of postponed games so far this month, but again, still no pause in the league. And NBA Commissioner Donald Silver, is that his name? I don't even know. I hate the league, so I don't care.
Adam Silver.
He said the other day that they have no plans to pause the league. So we'll see how that shakes out. Similar with the NFL, no plans to pause. We're heading into the playoff push here right now. A couple of weeks left in the regular season. Since the start of week 15, more than 200 players have tested positive for COVID, which makes up about 10% of the overall league. So,
Ryan, I have a dumb question.
Yes.
So we have 200 and some NFL players, 85 basketball players. How many hockey players?
I don't have that number. I can look it up though.
Well, all right. So of those players,
enough to pause the league, basically.
Right.
So of those players, how many emergency room visits do we have?
I don't have that information, but I'm assuming
we're going to go with 0, Bob.
Yeah.
0.
0.
And Mike, you probably have better numbers than this. Of the people, unfortunately, and my brother-in-law is one of them, who passed away from COVID. What is the average number of comorbidities attached to that death? Do you know?
Oh yeah, I just saw that. It was like 3.8.
Yep.
3.8 comorbidities.
Over 3.
Well, it's interesting.
For the record, my brother had leukemia, 62 years old.
Yeah. By the way, I think there was one hospitalization. I just actually looked it up since we talked about that because I was feeling the same. And all I can find is one. There's a Vikings offensive lineman, Dakota Dozier. That was back in early November. But anyway, so yeah. So no, it's look, I mean, we're talking about this obviously because it's been frustrating for a lot of sports fans, and it's really greatly affecting not just this, general society, of course, but specifically the sports world. And I thought it was interesting, and this guy got a lot of heat for saying this, but I thought he was kind of courageous in saying it, which was Cole Beasley of the Buffalo Bills, saying that he said, I think his quote, and I'm paraphrasing if I don't get it exactly, but he says, let's make it clear. COVID is not keeping me out of this weekend's games. The rules are, and basically just making a point that, he's apparently asymptomatic and feels well. And I understand what the teams are trying to do and the leagues are trying to do. And they've got liability, et cetera. So, but it's definitely becoming frustrating. We're going on our, into our third year of this, and it's been tough. So anyway, speaking of which, Kevin, we have a guest next week.
Yeah, we have a guest chiropractor from the Omaha area, but who's also born and bred in Australia. Kind of be an interesting guest. I actually played college baseball in Australia. That's how we kind of got connected. But he is all over social media talking. He's certainly not an anti-vaxxer. He is vaccinated. I had a pre-interview with him last week, but he's really talking about what no one, I don't care what your political affiliation is, I don't care what station you watch, there's no one on the planet talking about getting healthy as a, block of COVID, right? No one's talking about eating better, exercising. No one's talking about building their immune system, I don't see Sanjay Gupta talking about that. I don't see any of the Fox doctors talking about that. It's all about, the vaccine, which is, all good. All right. But, we have a God-given immune system that there's no one talking about exercise. I mean, they locked us down. They closed all the gyms. I mean, no one's out. No one's exercising. No one's lifting weights. No, I mean, every office like mine should be jammed with people right now. Like there should be like a 6-month waiting list to get into a personal trainer, to get into a physical therapist, because everybody should be getting out, trying to get healthier, not hiding in their house, hoping the boogeyman won't come.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's something I know.
That's essentially what he's going to be talking about.
Yeah. And I know, Joe Rogan, super famous, super huge podcast. I know he's brought this up on the past. So there's one person at least, but it should be talked about everywhere, to your point. In fact, I've been seeing some of the numbers on this, like the childhood obesity in the US just in the last 2 years since COVID has skyrocketed. Obesity in general health is deteriorating, mental health, depression, and also, working out, staying in shape, being active, that helps all of those things. It helps, it helps, to staving off morbid obesity. It helps keeping your depression at bay, etc. So these are facts. Aren't my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I think it's imperative that people realize that, and I'd love to see it turn towards that and boosting natural, people's natural immune systems to help fight things off. I mean, look, I understand that this is a pandemic, and so that makes it different. However, we're constantly battling, especially, here in the Northeast, here in the Northeast, in the Midwest and in places like Chicago, Northwest, Pacific Northwest. You have cold winters, you're going to have bugs, you're going to have viruses that are go around. We deal with it every single year. And, the more fit, the more in shape you are, the more healthy you are, the more vitamin intake you're getting, the better you're going to be just in general. So it'd be interesting to talk to him. But
yeah, so as you guys know, I do some Facebook advertising, and about, I wish I would have called up to share my screen. So I've been to jail. I was in Facebook jail. Yep. So I put an ad up that just had, do you want to help fight COVID? It's about getting, same thing, build your immune system, had these facts. And not only did they, dump the ad, right? They put me, I had to take this course about ads and all this kind of stuff, because wasn't saying anything against vaccines, anything against anything else other than build your immune system. And I got dumped off of Facebook and put into jail, and my ad account was suspended for a week.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, that's
just insanity. That's insanity, absolute insanity.
Yeah, promoting exercise, promoting health. I mean, look, we've had first ladies, okay, who that was their mission, while they were first ladies in office. So, yeah. I mean, and rightfully so, by the way. So yeah, I mean, we're in the field of sports. And Kevin, more specifically, he's in, he deals with patients. He deals with people who are injured, and getting people back to physical health. It's all important. It's really, we train athletes all the time. Look, it's the same as when we talk about our athletes, right? I mean, you want to perform at a high level. You want to, run as fast as you can. You want to, increase your time from home to first to third. Whatever it might be, you want to increase your power. You can't do it by eating junk and not working out. Just not going to happen, right?
That's it.
So same thing for everyday life. All right. Anyway,
are we moving on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. So this is our year in review show.
It is indeed.
So should we talk about the very first show?
First show, episode 1, called Kevin.
I think it's when Hulk Hogan goes NWO.
That's right. So it was
kind of a little wrestling little story. So that actually I think was just voted somewhere the greatest storyline in the history of wrestling. Okay, so that's when the arguably the top, whatever you're looking at, most known wrestler in human history, Hulk Hogan, turned bad.
Yeah,
and the connotation for that is we were going to do this show not being the good guys. We're going to point out things that were bad, and we're going to say they were bad, and we're going to prove that they were bad. but we're also going to prove that this is bad and this is the right way to do that.
Yep.
And I think that, for the last year or so that we have done that. We've taken some heat. We've gotten some people who we've pointed out in the show come after us, but we've proven them beyond a shadow of a doubt to be charlatans, to be snake oil salesmen, and proven them to be false and the right way to do that. And we're going to continue to do that in 2022. What do you think, Mike?
I think exactly. Look, it's healthy. I love debating things. And when it comes to baseball training and baseball mechanics, it's how you learn. It's how you grow. Look, you could disagree with somebody, say, and on a general philosophy, but maybe they give you a tidbit that actually is true that you haven't thought of. Right.
100%.
So it's why it's great.
If you don't have disagreement, no one grows anywhere. Right.
That's right. Right? Nobody grows.
No one grows. There's no science. Science in itself is about disagreement. I disagree. All right, let's prove something that's right.
That's right. Actually, absolutely. And I remember before we really got started, before what made us kick this off is, Kevin, you and I just having conversations and talking about, arguments in social media, like, geez, I got into this guy on social media and I couldn't believe what this guy thought was actually should be taught to kids. And, I'd have my own stories, and it was like days on days that we would see this stuff and would rant on our own for half an hour and figured, hey, let's bring this out to the public, because look, and it's something we're going to talk about in a little bit here. It's not just that they're wrong. It's not that we're saying that they're wrong and that in and of itself, it's bad, right? You're allowed to be wrong, but it's having a negative effect, having an effect on kids. And in some cases, thousands and even millions of kids. And there's doing it wrong. So number one, it's like, hey, look, we're promoters of the sport. We want to grow and nurture the love and passion for baseball. We don't want kids leaving the sport because they can't succeed because they were taught incorrectly. More importantly, though, Kevin, right, is someone are getting hurt. The injury rate is out of control. And the idea, what's being taught and sort of I hate to use this term, but the mainstream sort of way of teaching throwing mechanics, for instance, is injurious. It's like, talk about, there's an epidemic, right? It really is. You could call it that. Kids are getting younger and younger that are requiring, Tommy John surgery, having torn UCLs. This is some of the stuff we talked about in the first few episodes, about, you didn't see this. You just didn't see this 30 years ago. So anyway, I'm glad we did it. I have a whole lot of fun doing this every week with you, Kevin, and recently we've had some really cool guests as well, and we have more coming. So
and you too, producer extraordinaire.
Thank you.
That's right. Gagne fruit cheese.
That goes without saying.
Absolutely. Couldn't do it without Gagne fruit cheese. Well, we could, but it's nice to say that we could.
Well, as like you were there last week. So last week I was a guest on a podcast called Figure It Out Baseball.
Right.
Jeff Stanek last week, interviewed me. And went on for a while. Mike, you couldn't hear the questions, but you were listening to me. And, just as I get going, I do get passionate about, youth and injuries and preventing them. And, we were talking about hitting and throwing, and you could be a really bad hitting instructor. You can be terrible. And the result of that is your kid goes 0 for 37 with 42 strikeouts, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a bad pitching instructor
or a bad mathematician,
a bad mathematician, if it's on purpose.
I know.
But if you're a bad pitching instructor, your student ends up on the operating table, and that's a fact. So they talk about, oh, you never play in the majors. What do you know? And what do you're good. You never passed algebra. You never passed kinesiology. You can't even spell kinesiology, No. So, looking at for that, and it came up, the whole thing came up, and it was a big topic about the V word. Is what I teach can increase velocity. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't, does it, I don't know, but what I do know is what's out there being taught for velocity has a very, very, very short shelf life. Like as soon as you start winging around heavy baseballs and running up, and we'll show you some of these drills later, and why would you do that? Winging it against walls when you're 12, 13 years old and not even hit puberty yet, and your shoulder blades are all over you're an egg. We have your ultimate pitch count, right? Like, when is it 500, 650 that you're done, that you are injured, that it's just a matter of time. It's because right now it's not if, it's when. There's just too many of them.
Well, and there's a lot of it that's sort of smoke and mirrors too. And what I mean, so let me back up. To answer your first question that you're asking the podcast is if it will increase what you teach, will increase velocity. It stands to reason that it will, because what you're teaching is efficiency. You're teaching, the big muscles to carry the workload, the body to move in sequence. So theoretically, it should. Now, does that mean that, it can't be done? You can't hit a higher number by, running and throwing a 2-pound ball? Yeah, you probably can do it that way. But is it sustainable? It's
that's the biggest word, sustainable.
Right. It's not sustainable in two ways, though, Kevin. It's not sustainable in the fact that they can get injured. It's also not sustainable that if they sit there and they throw up, let's say a student, an 18, 19-year-old kid sits there and throws, does 2-pound running guns for 15 throws and then grabs a baseball. It's going to feel like styrofoam, right? And he's probably going to be able to throw that harder for that moment, but let him rest for 10 minutes and then throw that baseball again. Is that velocity still going to be there? And I can tell you that I know from, and we're going to talk a little bit about like the exit velocity program we're working on, that this has been researched where you could swing a heavy bat, for 20 swings, and inside of the next 6 or 7 minutes, your bat speed will increase, but it won't stay. You only get it for that next 6 to 7 minutes. So doing things that will actually teach you to throw harder and more efficiently, that will sustain, that will be real. I think that's something that's completely missing that we're trying to work on right now.
Yeah. And of course that, the laws of neurology and kinesiology is that the arm and hand are the last thing in the kinetic chain. So focusing on the last part of the kinetic chain doesn't make any sense when it's the first part: core, posterior kinetic chain, legs, torso, that's generating the power. I mean, just look at martial arts. Just look at Bruce Lee, a guy 5'7", right? Could toss like 1-inch punch. Like, just where's that power coming from? Because he has control of the sequence of his body to be able to use it to produce the most force at a given time.
Right.
And I just think it just like I said, like it goes back to, baseball is a sport where bad results are glorified. Let's be honest. Okay. We have all this stuff. Okay. I can name, all of us sit here can right now name outfielders in the 80s off the top of our heads that could throw rockets to home plate, right? Without even thinking about it. Now that number is probably 7 or 8, and everyone's training, everyone's doing all this stuff. And, if an outfielder can hit the cutoff guy, they're praised. Oh, well, he's got an 8+ arm. He can, hit the first baseman on the cutoff. I mean, that's just insane. That's insane. Guys, I mean, Bo Jackson can throw a ball from the base of Yankee Stadium to third base on the fly without even thinking about it. Right. But so all this, right, with all this long toss, all this stuff, the results are getting worse, not better, but no one's changing anything. Pitching injuries are through the roof. So if you keep, again, doing the same thing over and over again, we know what that's called, but no one seems to be changing anything. And if we are one of the, because when you do anything, you've got to shake the tree. So if we're one of the shows that are shaking the tree to be like, can you just look over there for 2 minutes and stop looking over here? Because what's over here isn't working. Then I think we've done our job.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think it's really important to say that too, because I've looked at this, it's really the only sport. And I say sport, it's 2 sports, diamond sports, both baseball and softball, because it is really kind of gotten into softball as well. Not quite to the degree, but it's on its way. But the diamond sports, it's the only place where you go on social media, you're going to see people with wildly different philosophies fighting over each other, trying to, look like they're smarter than the other guy by using big words. And,
big words. That's the best. That makes no sense.
No, they make no sense. And again, this is, under the guise of what, informing kids, teaching kids. Like, no, you're confusing them. You're just trying to sound smart. Now, with all that said, right, and this is what is bananas to me. So we live in an age now of technology and science, right? And technology and science in sports, things can be measured now, right? We can research and we can prove things. Why? How is a guy like Teacher Man still influencing thousands and thousands of kids? It doesn't take
that. It's more than that. One of the videos
in some
that
instances, yeah.
I looked at a video earlier of him on TikTok, had 15.5 million views.
Yeah, that's insane.
With
That's
1.5 million
Tell me
likes.
how you hit tell me how you hit an outside, any pitch, curveball, anything, with a perpendicular to the ground baseball bat.
Oh, there's more than that. Your head's turned. I mean, you're going from here, from your eyes level, looking at the baseball, to your eyes crooked and vertical, looking at the base. I mean, there's so many things wrong with it. The front elbow comes up. I mean, we could tear it apart. And I watched one of his full length videos, right? A full clinic of his. And I realized that he's really just misinformed. He doesn't understand. He doesn't just understand certain. He definitely doesn't understand what you teach.
You don't understand.
Right. That's what he thinks. That's
99.9% don't understand. Right.
But what I did learn from him is he's seeing certain things in a big league swing, and he doesn't understand sequencing, and he thinks, it's actually quite the opposite. He thinks he sees things that are happening that may be happening, but they're not happening in the sequence, and they're not happening to the level of importance that he puts on it. And he thought he had this big secret that he's letting out. And it's just too bad. It's also too bad that he won't listen to people, because look, he does have an audience, whether we like it or not. He has an audience, so he has an opportunity to come out and I know, we don't agree with everything this guy says, but Tom House just put something out the other day too. I saw, and it was like the best thing a coach can do is to say, hey, I was wrong. I used to think something different, but now I've learned, and now I realize that was wrong, and this is the better way to do it. He could do that, and he could positively influence lots of kids, but he won't. And he's got a cult following right now, so he has no incentive to do that. And that's the shame. That's the shame.
So he had a video this week. I don't know. It might have been old. He talks about his flip. That he's literally talking about the flip happens. So we're talking. Let's just say our average baseball player is 6 feet, 180 pounds, right?
Sure.
Okay. So the power of a 6 foot, 180 pound man is generated in the MCP joint, which of course he doesn't know the name of that either, of the thumb. That's where the power and the snap of the thumb, not the spine, not the glutes, not the back extensors, not the chest, not the biceps, not the thumb.
Yeah.
Like, are you, and of course he talks about the emulate. Oh, this is what Barry Bonds does. No, right. Barry Bonds does not do that at all. He just turned his boom.
Right.
Like, yeah, right.
Well, that's the funny thing.
He didn't snap it. He didn't fall over. And first of all, I can tell you what Barry Bonds didn't do: move his head, or he wouldn't have hit the ball.
Right. Said state still. Also, even in the teacher in videos, it's funny. Like, you see him, he does this thing, but every time he turns his hips 90 degrees, right. And he doesn't talk about that. There is a few instances though in that video, though, I told you, Kevin, where he slips up and he says, once you're here, then you just turn. Well, I know I said turn, but you want to do this. And, it's almost as if his subconscious is fighting him, and this doesn't make sense. That doesn't.
It just, like I was saying, like we were looking, and we'll show obviously, why would you do that? Like when a golfer does is practicing his swing, even in different segments, there's not one piece of that swing that looks awkward, right? Whether he's hitting a quarter shot, half shot, chip shot, punch shot, right? Everything about the swing and the drills look absolutely unathletic and awkward. Yeah. How could that make you a better athlete?
Well, exactly. And speaking of incomplete motions, one of the things that I thought while watching Teacher Man's clinic here was the easiest way to disprove him is to look at any professional, any big league, any high level hitter, high level Division I, professional big league hitter. Look at them in a check swing. Look at what the bat looks like. Look where their back elbow is. It's nothing like what he would teach.
It's a good point, Michael.
Right. I mean, and so that's a motion that's abruptly stopped because of a late decision. So it tells you a lot about what their body was doing at that point. So, that alone made me think,
bam, dude, that's gold right there.
Right. It's gold, Jerry.
That's gold, Jerry. That's that in your play chicken with the baseball. That's gold right there.
Bad path. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
I come up with some now and again, Kev.
Yeah, that was good.
A couple of bags, tricks.
So do we want to talk about what we're doing, or you want to do why would you do that? Talk about at the end, or what are we?
Well, no, I would say so this is what we're doing about it. right? And so I know we've been talking a while, people that listen to the podcast, frequently know that we've been talking about putting some things out. Well, the reality is like we're collecting information. We're learning new things as we've been doing this. And so, we want to teach things, obviously, the right way. We want to teach the things that we think are, so let me back up and say, why is Teacher Man, for instance, getting all these followers? And it's because, and why does, Wasserman get all these followers? And it's because kids want to throw harder. They want to swing harder. They want to hit the ball harder. They want to run faster. So we want to teach them how to do it right. And so, Kevin and I are working on an exit velocity program. This is something that I've used with my players in my program for quite a few years now, that we know works. We know in working with our kids, Kevin, that in 30 days, the average in exit velocity is like 9 miles an hour. We've had as much as 17 miles an hour just in 30 days, which puts somebody from, as an example, to see how, what that means. That can take somebody from, say, an average or slightly below average high school exit velocity to an above average professional exit velocity. So it's that big a difference. It means a lot. And so we're putting something together that we're going to be able to offer to everybody. And in fact, it's going to be even more cool, and it's going to be even better because now Kevin's become a part of it, and he's including exercises in there as well to really up the ante.
So one little story I had, I'm going to reach out and get him as a guest. Of the few major leaguers that I know, one of the coolest cats I've ever met is Roberto Kelly, who is a former Twin, former Yankee. Yep. So he and I, with Jeremy Booth from Future Stars, who's going to be a upcoming guest, we all did a camp about 3 years ago or so. And Roberto was in the hit tracks machine off a tee, and I did the little stance of, he swung and hit a ball. We measured his exit velocity, whatever it was. I forget what it was. And then I did the, get into proper stance, butt first, arch. And his next swing was 13 miles an hour, more exit velocity.
Yeah.
So that'll all be included in the course. So obviously that's a former pro athlete who could, but still technique, proper muscle sequencing, proper exercise, proper movement is going to make you a better athlete, not snapping it or whatever. Like, you've got to be able to move with precision, with sequence, with flawless technique, and you'll see. And these are simple things. These are things you're gonna be able to do at home. This isn't going to be anything that you need to go to a gym for, and you'll be able to see results in 30 days.
Yep. All you need is the space to swing a bat. That's all you're going to need. I'm so excited.
You have to come up with a cool name for it, though. That's it.
Yeah, we will. We'll think of a cool name, but I think we're going to want people's feedback too, and because I'm really excited. I think that we can get upwards of 20 miles an hour difference in 30 days. Kids really put their head down and work.
We'll have different levels of the course. We'll have a home study. We'll have a group. Be online, and then there'll be, Mike and I can, one-on-one coach you. Of course, there'll be different increments of cost, but that's essentially how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the hitting part. So off my left shoulder, off my left shoulder, you're going to see that sign back there, Velocity RX. That's been my essential in-house pitching rehabilitation program for, 15 years or so. And we're going to do the same thing with that. We're going to bring that to the market in 4 different levels. We're looking at one for coaches, one for players, one maybe for parents, which is really just kind of an educational about arm health and things that parents can get involved in. And the last one will be for medical professionals, where we're going to get them certified in shoulder, elbow rehabilitation. It is a very niche market, and it's a market that I have 15 people with testimonials that I have gotten back from Tommy John surgery in less than major league time. I had a 34-year-old player that I got back throwing in 8 months because, again, the ligaments heal, the muscles heal, 6 to 8 weeks. Why is it taking 2.5 years? Because they're not fixing the big thing, and that is you cannot ever throw against gravity and be a sustainable pitcher. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. So there'll be mechanical stuff, and again, it'll be an online. It'll be a group, and we'll be hoping to. Obviously, everyone likes to make money. It's not about that, but it's just really about leaving our mark on. I'd rather have my name that I did, go down when I'm dead. That I helped the community and help people, prevent injury. Because right now, it's just not out there. It's just not. People saying arm care. I mean, I saw something on arm care the other day where the guys got. I think I counted. There might have been 35 or people that I can count, and he's teaching them to shrug.
Yeah. Well, we got one of the videos coming up.
He's teaching as one of the exercises to shrug. 180 degrees opposite of what you should be doing.
Yeah. And a perfect example, by the way, of just a lack of real knowledge of the body, which is essential when you're going to talk about body motion and sequencing. And, again,
right. And listen, I've got former major league players that I've worked with. I promised out of anonymity, I will never name what I'm about to say, but major league organizations teaching people to shrug, pitchers to shrug as part of the rehab process.
Yeah.
And guys, just for when we lift the arms up, the shoulder blade should depress, not elevate. So that's 180 degrees opposite of kinesiology, but major league level.
No, I get it. I mean, look, even the simple fact of, forced pronation, you engage your traps. It's something that I remember I learned from you. And look, at the end of the day, everybody, this is like, we want this, there's going to be something available for everybody that we want this to almost be, and it's really not, right? But it's almost the counterculture to social media training. Okay. Not, because there are people out there, there are facilities, and there are some people out there that I know that do teach things properly, and and even the ones that don't, I'd say that the vast majority aren't looking to intentionally injure kids, so they're coming from the right place. But we want to be that counterculture. We want to be to show you the right way. And I can tell you real quickly, with the exit velocity program, it's going to be a blend of standard bat swings, weighted bat swings, a bat that's weighted doesn't feel weighted. That's actually for hitting live off the tee, and underload training, etc. But it only works if the movements are done properly. And that's really, really, really important. And, we're excited to be able to bring that to everybody. I mean, I'm super excited. I can't say, I had a kid, I was just saying, Ryan knows this kid who's looking to go to a JUCO. Actually just went to a camp to one of the, actually the number 2 rated JUCO in the country. And over the summer, he's really struggling. There's a postural thing on teaching him to load and really get into his back hip. And engage his glute and his hamstring, and that. What's that connection there between the glute and the hamstring? Is there a name for that? Like that junction?
Well, I mean, it's literally like so for men, it's really the little fold that you see there in the Sports Illustrated bikini model, right there at the bottom of the bikini. That's really just a juncture. It's kind of what's called your ischial tuberosity, is the bone that's connected to. But that's where your hamstring and glute connect, and that, for me, that's one of the most vital muscle areas of the body.
That's right. And getting him to get, and he had a hard time getting it, and he was working hard. And I can tell he was at like low 80s to mid 80s in exit velocity. He's hitting the ball. He's struggling to get it past 315. This is with wooden front toss, so that's not bad in and of itself, right? You're a 17-year-old kid, but it clicked this fall for him. Now he's hitting the ball 380, 385, he's hitting it well over 90 miles an hour. I mean, and we didn't change his swing. His swing was already there. We've been working with him for years. His swing is sound. So yeah, it was really just getting him to get that as an example of some of the stuff that'll be in there. So there's some good little tips and secrets in there that are going to really help our players.
And I usually close my camps when I do this, whether it's me or anyone else. You trust a physical therapist when you come into the office and your arm is hanging by a thread, or you can't stand up straight because you blew your back out. So you definitely trust us when you're injured. Imagine what we could do for you when you're healthy.
Yeah. So you don't have to come in when you're injured.
Right. Imagine what we can do for someone that's healthy. So that's for that.
All right. So we're excited about that. Yeah. So we had some, let me just segue this real quick, if you don't mind, Kevin. So
sure.
We already had these. Why would you do that? You've already seen them if you watch our show. We've already had them on our show, so we try to pick some of our favorites, and I think that you'll see exactly what we're talking about here. Drills for drills, and anyway, they're kind of fun. So we're gonna get to relive them. So
why would you do that?
There we go.
We started recording for that.
Yeah, we do. That's what. That's what we really do. All right.
Yeah.
Kevin, you can start. This is the throw.
Okay. So looking at this poor girl throwing a heavy ball. I just talked about over facilitation of the upper trap. There we are. Can you just pause this, Ryan, when she's right there somewhere? Back up one. Okay. So right here in this position, just take your arm and just leave it there. Watch TV for the next 5 minutes with your arm in that position. Let me know how comfortable it is for you. Okay.
I can't get my arm to that position.
Right. So, there's, she's, so right now, if we took a moving x-ray of this, if there was such, which I hope they would, if they have one of these, that would be a great invention, right? She's full on shoulder impingement, meaning her rotator cuff is banging up against the top of her acromial process. And she's got this weighted ball in her hand and she is pronated, right? So she's now going to throw this weighted ball and generate power, but the muscles that generate the power of throwing in the kinematic sequence are the ones she's sitting on. So again, this is a drill just to be a drill. All she's doing is beating the crap out of her arm. She's not going to learn to throw better. These mechanics are terrible, and the big muscles which she should be using are not being trained. We've
said this before, and we want to just always kind of hyper focus on this. We're not knocking the athletes in this video.
No. She's just doing what she's told.
Behind it.
Yep, she's doing what she's told. So,
and by the way, not only are we not knocking the athletes, but this is, again, to beat a dead horse, but this is why we're doing this, right? It's because we don't want this done to these poor athletes because they don't know any better. And, and especially when you have an athlete, and I know we've got a lot of them that, say, yes, coach, and they give it everything they have for what you just taught them, they can hurt themselves.
And this is, part of our best of, but this is, or I guess worst of, right? This was actually a 2-part video. This was the next throwing mechanic drill that they were incorporating here within this organization.
Same thing, arm out, abducted from the body, upper trap on. I mean, at least she has a very good finish with her trunk.
Well, you can even see when,
and I would argue that she probably is. No, there's the acceleration part there. So she's again throwing uphill to throw downhill. It's just, this is someone who thinks that you're gaining power and speed from your arm, and you're just not. You're not. You're just not.
Well, you can see the shrug here too.
It's not Kevin McGovern. It's science. You are just not. The power comes from your core. What did we do this one? I don't remember this one. Oh, I do. I do.
Yeah.
Again, same.
So you can see the same arm path, right? You can see the similarities. You can see the patterns there. Hey, that's us when we were doing the actual.
Look at us. Wow, look at that. We look handsome there.
Can you go back to that video, Ryan, and maybe just pause it?
The one we were handsome at?
Another one before that.
All right.
I'm jealous of the clothes we were wearing. It's like 26 degrees outside right now. We're all in t-shirts there. Gagne? Fructis
coming out.
Hey, what Roman numeral are we? If we kind of go MXM or XM?
Whoa! Perfect pause. Perfect.
Look at this.
There we go. Right.
You can't even see her arm.
No. Her shoulder's gone. Her shoulder's literally behind her scap.
Oh, just looking at this. Okay, the rotation. When we're talking about rotation, it's at her belly button. That's where the rotation happens. You have the most rotation. That's where the rotation should occur. And of course, it's not. It's coming from the thoracic spine, which is, one level up from where it should happen. And
but Kev, also look at the start. Her delt is literally behind her scap. You cannot see her deltoid muscle right now.
No, it's again.
There's a position you hold while you watch TV.
Basic principles of, what's the purpose of this? If it's to build arm speed, why are you taking away the drivetrain? Like, why? It's kind of like running an Indy car, but leaving the engine in pit row. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
No, that's literally it's exactly what it is.
But I can guarantee you, if we look at the marketing of this, right? There's all fancy words. There's all kinds of we do this and kinetic chain that and kinetic chain this, and then just go back and look at the education. Okay, so when they major in kinesiology, right, that was a course of the 7 years I went to school. All right, not a degree. I mean, there are degrees in it, but I'm saying so. Look at the education of the people that are doing these exercises.
Well, that's also a new thing too, right? The degrees in kinesiology, but just the other thing too that I would say is that when the body's even moving correctly, the arm still has to have a healthy path, right? Because we talk about arm lag a lot, right? So your arm hurt, maybe you're not back here and you're where you're supposed to be, but you turn and you leave your arm back. So there isn't a healthy arm path as well, obviously, but you're right. I mean, it's the big words, and that's why we always talk about it's not just, don't just ask the how, ask the why. It's really important, and it's got to jive. It's got to make sense. It really, and if you get a bunch of big words and you feel like, I'm going to feel stupid if I ask what that means, don't, because I think there are cases, unfortunately, where people are using those big words so that you don't ask the questions, right? And they should be able to explain it to you in very simple terms, because it's not, as mechanical as technical as it may be, it's not really that hard to understand.
Right. And here's another thing you can do too, because I know all these colleges are using these heavy balls from this driveline program. Just call around. I mean, I work with a kid from Coastal Carolina, 2 years removed from his national championship. They had 6 people at the time out, shoulder and Tommy John. 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just
call around, see how many programs. Say how many of your pitchers are out. And then what's the common denominator? This kind of bullshit.
Right. Yep. Agreed. All right. Gagne. On to the next one.
So we covered a throwing one. So let's cover a hitting one here.
So is this, what's that? What's her name? The Simone by what's her name? The gymnast.
Oh yeah.
Is this her hitting drill? Because he's like on a balance beam.
On a beam. So this is actually something that I've seen a bunch of times before. I swore that it was, a thing of the past, but apparently it's not. This one, I vividly remember us talking about this one. And what made it really stand out to me was the kettlebell right behind the hitters. The hitter's a left-handed hitter, for those who aren't watching. It's a left-handed hitter. He's standing on a balance beam. And he's got a kettlebell right behind his left foot, his back foot. That's to make sure he doesn't turn that back foot. Don't you dare turn that back foot and hip, whatever you do. He's not rotating. His hips are turning maybe a quarter of the way. It's all arms, all shoulders.
Maybe up the third baseline.
Maybe, right. I mean, it's all arms. The bat path, the barrel's in and out of the zone, I don't know. It's maybe flat and in the zone for a total of 3 inches, right? When you want it to be a foot or more. And, but the thing that really kills me with this one is, so if you're wondering, okay, is he supposed to be rotating on this board? Is he supposed to be not only balancing, right? Because again, he's up on this balance beam. He's at least looks like he's about a foot or so off the ground. And I assume they're working on balance. This is not the balance that you want to work on, by the way. But anyway, what I was getting at is you could say, all right, well, I wonder, maybe they want him to turn. He's just not turning his hips. No. They put a kettlebell back behind his foot to make sure that he was not turning his back foot and leg, which would mean that he was using his hips. And he's not. So
I'm going to interject my 2 cents in here and just ask the masses, whatever sport you played, from pickleball to baseball to whatever, what drill do you do in any of those sports that's awkward to make you look better athletically? None. Like what drill are you going to practice that makes you look worse? I'm going to be a running back. I'm going to get the ball and fall over or tiptoe. I'm going to, what would you practice that makes you look worse?
Well, what really bothers me here is this isn't even a hands drill, right? I mean, if you were working on just hands, the parallel ball, whatever you would call that, the balance beam, wouldn't be parallel to the hitting lane, right? To the the straight line the ball makes from the pitcher to the catcher. It would be, perpendicular to it, or even at least, off to the side, canted at a certain 45 degrees or so. But nope.
And here's my point. There are at least 1, 2, 3. I see a bat back there. There are at least 4 people standing there allowing this to happen. And not tackling this, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Right? They're condoning what's happening then.
Yeah. And you can see
plus
too.
a guy doing the camera and the guy feeding.
Right. No one's stopping this. Oh my God.
The front shoulder lifting. By the way, I would not all the time this happens, but oftentimes you can see when on the left-handed hitter, when the right shoulder, front shoulder pulls so early as this here is doing for those not watching, it typically means it's a right-handed thrower, left-handed hitter. So
but watch the shrug of the right. Watch the shrug of the right shoulder.
Right.
Shrug. That's the first move. Shrug. Boom.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. When you see that, oftentimes the left-handed hitters, it indicates it's a right-handed because they're right side dominant. But yeah, no, this literally is all the things you do not want to work on. It's if you said, hey, look, what's the one thing I could do to make sure for certain that my swing will get progressively worse? This would be it.
This would be it. Oh, well, maybe that's what it is. It's a get worse drill. You guys are looking at it all wrong.
All right, we got, I think, one more, right, Ryan?
Yeah, one more.
Yeah. This could be the bet. Is this
one of us?
Is
this the what else?
I'm gonna recreate it.
What are those things called? What are they called?
This is a teaser. I know. This comes right.
But what are those things called?
Noodles. You're giving it away.
All right.
Wacky waving inflatable flailing arm tube.
Yeah.
This is the best.
I even preface this by saying this might be one of my favorite videos of all time. There it is.
Fiesta.
Look at this.
Dude, that was spot on with when you said it in the video.
Yes.
Dude, that was wild.
Nice.
In stereo.
That's awesome. Yep. So this drill.
Don't teach framing. Just teach how to, because he's not even framing, or whoever's catching this.
Yeah.
It's not even framing. It's the receiving of it in the first place.
Right. But there's no front. I mean, look at this. You're not even practicing framing it. Look at this.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking there's so many things wrong with this. Dude, Kev, again, you just said the same thing. And I know you, for those listening, these two guys did not go back and watch these videos. I sprung these on them at the last minute. Kevin literally just said word for word what he said in this video back on July 22nd. Mm-hmm. Wild.
And I did relive the Fiesta, but I did know about this. He told me.
I told him about that one.
Feeling hot. So the purpose of this is to potentially blind the catcher into catching baseballs.
Everything he's doing here is wrong, from a catching standpoint.
Right.
So not moving the body, not squaring up, not framing.
Also, you want to start the glove down. You kind of want to let the glove fall to the ground to come up as you receive, and not to kind of letting it drop, which gives the visual of a mislocated pitch to the umpire. But the noodle things is just amazing. It's amazing.
But I will tell you guys what you haven't noticed. The noodles match the plate, because I believe that's one of those strike zone plates that has red in the middle and green on the outside.
Yes.
It's also Christmas themed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
And my wife just chimed in. She said it's like a mini golf course. It's like one of those mini golf obstacles.
Green turf, red gear. It's just Christmas all around.
By the way, I mean, odds would tell you that at least once or twice they would have actually hit the noodle. No.
Yeah.
Never hit it.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Either the coach is really good or really bad.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's about noodle coordination.
Maybe the coach was working on his hand-eye to not hit the ball.
There you go.
Maybe he was working on his
oh my God,
his double dutch,
his battle ropes.
I was thinking double dutch.
I don't even know how many views that thing has now. Hopefully -10.
I don't know. I mean, I just watched it a bunch.
Well, all right. Well, hey.
So before we go, let's say 2022 has we got a lot of really cool, fun things coming up for New Year's for the next year. So obviously we've got courses, we've got fun guests. We're actually going to work on our podcast presentation here over break.
Value.
Yep. I'm going to Kevin's office. In fact, I might even go tomorrow. I might even pop in tomorrow. Oh, he's probably not there on Christmas Eve, but
I probably might be, because I have to go get my computer, which I got fixed. I had to bring back and get fixed again. Yeah.
This is why we're doing this at 10 p.m. tonight instead of 11:30 a.m.
But it is faster, just faster without internet and hooking up monitors. No, it's great.
Wow. It's like having a computer.
Now
in
he says it works.
1986.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, Merry Christmas. Happy
Merry
New
Christmas,
Year, everybody.
everybody.
Yeah. Can't wait for 2022. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
20 and just so you guys know, I mean 2022 that's Mike's number. So this has to be Mike's year.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Everything's going to be turning up Frary. Love it.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I just called that to your attention. You didn't even pay attention. You didn't
I didn't even think about it.
Pay attention.
There you go.
Deuce.
Now with his 1985 champion sweatshirt he's got on there.
That came. These came back, baby. This
Looking
is.
fine, baby. Looking good.
I think your hat's older than my shirt, though.
It is. This is high school baseball hat. All right.
X gonna give it to you.
All right, folks.
buddy.